If you're a product person working in B2B products, you typically are going to talk with a specific type of customer or persona. And these are going to be what is called your power users, or your advanced users, or your expert users. Let's talk quickly about who are these power users. Let's talk also about what are the problems and the downsides of talking with these power users, and then how can you maybe leverage their knowledge, because definitely they have a ton of knowledge that you can use to move forward your products. So as far as I know, there's not a formal definition of an expert user, but an expert user of your product is going to be the person that is really comfortable using your product, no matter how your product works, no matter how much customization your product requires. This is the person that you're going to talk with. And this is the person that is going to be a little bit like your flagship, like is your ambassador within the company, trying to push, or within your customer, sorry, that is going to try to push your product within the organization because they really like what it can do. They really like that it's powerful. There's an expert tool potentially, and they are able to navigate maybe through that complexity of your product to really bring that product to be set and to be spread within the organization. So they're going to be very comfortable with many different aspects of your product, like customizations, creating templates, creating workflows, defining that workflow defined within the organization. They are also obviously going to open doors within the organizations because these are the people that really change potentially the operations within the company. They are so expert, they are so good at bringing that new tool within the organization that they just make it easier for the rest of the people to use. They also know really well the industry and the trends within the industry. They usually tend to be a little bit nerdy, and they like to know where the industry is going to go in the future. So they are looking for how they can improve the workflows, they can improve the operations to make them better, to make them more efficient. So obviously all of this makes talking with power users something that is very appealing from the product people point of view, even from the salespeople. Basically everybody in the company loves to talk with these people. They love to invite them to keynotes. They love to invite them to the next conferences. They love to go together. They love to have them in their YouTube channel, webinars, and whatnot. Because there are people that bring knowledge. They can be even thought leaders within their industry, at least without their companies they are usually. So basically in your customers, they usually are the thought leaders within the organization. So they are really key people to talk with. It's very comfortable for you to talk with them because they know your product so well and they are so comfortable with how it works generally that it makes the conversation very easy. But there are problems, and there are some serious problems when you are only talking with these power users. Power users, no matter what, they're going to ask you for more features. They're going to ask you for more advanced, more complex processes, more complex workflows to be supported within your product, which is understandable. They want to improve the efficiency, and it's something that you really had to pay attention to. One of the problems to this is that the more features you are into your product, the more complexity you are into your product, the more it's increasing the learning curve to start using your product. Basically, you are focusing on a niche of your user base in a way, instead of you focusing in the masses of your user base. So typically in a company, I would say power users, I don't have a figure, but it has to be less than 10% for sure. And I would even think more closer to the 5 to 1%, of course, depends on the size of the company, but it's going to be a relatively small number. When you are building for that niche, you are ignoring the other part of basically your market. Power users also can be very comfortable with complex workflows, with having to customize, to having to go and tailor, parameterize different variables in your product. I used to work in companies that did software for construction, so it's very common to have to parameterize many things like offsets, like sizes, widths, masks, whatever. There's many different things that you have to parameterize, and they're comfortable also with creating those templates for the rest of the people within the organization, meaning that you are focusing a lot on making a tool that is highly customizable, but then you are raising the bar for everybody else. And unless there's that expert user in the company, you are going to potentially lose all those other potential users for your product. And the fact that you are focusing so much in the conversations with these people means that, again, very close to the previous one, is that you are focusing too much on workflows that they are okay with, but the rest of the users might not be okay with that kind of complex workflows of adding too much information to be able to get really good results. They're also going to be quite good at doing customizations, even automations of your product. And that's going to be great, meaning that if you had the power users within the organization, you can automate the processes for the rest of the people. And that probably is okay. But again, you are raising the bar a little too much for the rest of your users. So they're going to be okay with trying to build like macros with your product, using external tools maybe to automate certain processes if possible, even going and writing code, some of them with APIs and other ways that you allow them to integrate your own code with some certain SDK into their own code into your product. So that's something that they might be even comfortable with. Again, really great for you to be able to help customize, but you still had to bring those champions within the organization. And you might be building the product too much for them and not too much or not much really for the rest of the organization. So how should you behave? Well, I would say that don't just listen to your power users. Also go and talk to your end users. Understand how the end user is really going to use your product. Because right now you're focusing too much on this really extremely good or extremely powerful user that really is very knowledgeable in your product, that they are comfortable with the complex maybe or the complexities of using your product. I've seen it time and time again in different B2B products. They are built for these expert users, but then the rest of the users struggle to get the basics done. So try to bring those other people into the conversation as well. See how you can build your product also to satisfy their needs, because these people are going to be 95% of your users. You can see it in your data. I'm pretty sure that if you have data on the users of your product, you can create cohorts on the different type of users that you have based on how much of your product they use. I've done this in the past, and it's really eye-opening, because you can see that there's that 2% to 5% that are those expert users. There's a little bit more that are also something that you could consider maybe not like the super users, but maybe still very powerful users. And then you start to enter in the rest of the users. And the rest of the users, again, there's going to be tiers, but most of them are going to be super basic compared to the usage of the product that you have from those powerful users, those expert and super users. So make sure that you include them in your conversations and make sure that you are building your product also for them. I'm not saying that you ignore your power users, but it might be that you have to consider having two versions of your product. Most of the products out there, they just open and everybody can do everything. It's like, well, most of the people are not going to do everything. They're not even going to be comfortable in doing everything. They don't need to see all the features that you have because they're just going to get lost. It's just basically increasing the learning curve of your product, which is not something that many organizations, when they had to make the decision and they see too much information, that's going to put them off, because it's going to be an overwhelming experience of, oh, in order to start using this product, I had to do all these things. But that's not something that many companies want to see. And if you are able to create potentially even two different versions of your product, one for those expert users, one for the regular users, that's going to bring you value. And your features should not only be focused on those expert workflows. You might want to enable them to customize, but you don't want to ignore that big majority of customers that you have out there, because they are going to be the ones that really bring the revenue and the growth and the potential scalability of your product. If you ignore them, you are going to end up in troubles. And within smaller organizations or companies that don't have those expert users, you are going to end up with trouble because you always had to go through them, through that expert user. And you would want to have them there because potentially they are going to be very key collaborators for your product. But I would still make sure that you're building your product in a product that is also usable on itself for those not so expert users that you also have. So expert users, you probably love them. You probably love talking with them. Tell me in the comments below what type of users do you usually include in the communication with your customers. I'm finalizing a course about how to create a product operations workflow that is going to help you with your whole product management process. If you want to know more and know when it's going to be released and even get a discount on the launching of this online course, go sign up to the newsletter link down in the description. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay safe.